Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Musalia Mudavadi has finally delivered bad news to the Deputy President, Dr. William Ruto. For those who've been following the politics of this country, in the past few weeks, the Deputy President has been focusing all his attention on winning the support of Musalia Mudavadi. But today, after one Kenya Alliance meeting, Musalia Mudavadi delivered bad news. And yesterday, there was a meeting between One Kenya Alliance principals at Kalonzo Musyoka's residence in Karen. During that meeting, which was boycotted by Gideon Moi, by the way, because Gideon Moi was not happy with the conduct of Musalia Mudavadi and those of Moses Wetangula. He didn't attend it yesterday, but today he attended today's meeting. During that yesterday's meeting, One Kenya Alliance principals agreed on three things. The first thing they agreed on was to keep the coalition intact. As a matter of fact, and I have done several videos on this, one of the main reasons why William Ruto was targeting Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula was to engineer division within One Kenya Alliance movement. The Deputy President understands so well that there is no way Gideon Moi can support him. And he also understands that Kalonzo Musyoka has a soft spot for Raila Odinga. He targeted the two gentlemen. And by targeting the two gentlemen, he created suspicion amongst the co-principals. So yesterday, they agreed that they are going to remain intact. That's number one. Number two, they also agreed that they will ultimately field a presidential candidate to face off with the Deputy President, Dr. William Ruto himself, and Raila Odinga. So basically, One Kenya Alliance movement is now keen on creating a third force. By creating a third force, their intention is that either they are going to force a runoff, and if not to force a runoff, they intend to either become number one or number two. So that, for example, if they become number two and Raila Odinga is number three, then Raila Odinga can support them. If Raila Odinga is number two and they become number one, again, then William Ruto can support them. But if Raila and Ruto becomes number one and two, then their calculations is that they will now be able to negotiate. And this is where I see the hands of President Uhuru Kenyatta. So they agreed to field a presidential candidate. The last thing they agreed on is the timeline for naming this presidential candidate. And they've actually convened a meeting on the 18th of February, 2022. During that meeting, they'll receive the report from a team which they formed sometimes last year. So this meeting was actually charged. Musalia Mudavadi was put to task to respond to allegations that he's working with the Deputy President. Kalonzo Musyoka was also put to task to explain his relationship with Raila Odinga. But during today's meeting, Musalia Mudavadi finally got the chance to respond to the Deputy President, Dr. William Ruto. And according to Musalia Mudavadi, he stated several things. The first thing which he stated, which is actually bad news to the Deputy President, is that he has not received any formal or informal requests from William Ruto or any other party or party leader apart from One Kenya Alliance movement for talks, coalition talks. William Ruto and his party were very clear that they had actually written formal request to Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula for coalition talks. And that's why most people believed that Musalia Mudavadi was behaving the way he was behaving because he had received formal request. So by saying that he has not received any formal request, it means Musalia Mudavadi is throwing the ball back to the UDA party. And the UDA party might actually be forced if they have actually send formal request, because if you send a formal request, normally is that you have a letter sent and stamped received and it's addressed to someone. And the UDA, I know, for example, will, if they are not happy with what Musalia Mudavadi is saying, they will go ahead and release any request if they made it formally. Otherwise, I don't understand why William Ruto would go to the extent of explaining that they had sent formal request, and the request was confirmed by their Secretary General. As a matter of fact, and to give credit where it's due, ANC party are yet to confirm. Up to this stage, they've never confirmed whether Musalia Mudavadi received any formal request. The only thing I know is that Musalia Mudavadi and his party have convened the National Delegates Conference meeting, and in yesterday's video, I opined that one of the objectives of that meeting is probably to discuss any coalition talks with the Deputy President and if there's any offer which the DP put on the table. So I think by saying that they have not received any request, it exposes the DP as a liar. Number two, they're also saying that One Kenya Alliance movement is going to remain united, and that they are going to identify a presidential candidate. That is not a good news to the Deputy President William Ruto. That's bad news to him. Yesterday, the Deputy President was very categorical that the only way he can defeat Azimio is by joining hands with Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula. So if these guys are not going to join hands with him and they are going to consolidate their support to a presidential candidate, let's say, for example, if One Kenya Alliance movement are going to agree that their presidential candidate is going to be Musalia Mudavadi, then Ruto is not going to have a chance in the larger Western Kenya, because most of the people supporting Ruto are dissatisfied with Raila Odinga. They'll easily support Musalia Mudavadi if Musalia Mudavadi is endorsed as the presidential candidate. But the main objective of the move to sponsor a presidential candidate, in my view, has always been to force a runoff. You know, in this country, it's turning out to be a two-horse race. Those who are supporting Ruto have already agreed. Then those who are supporting Raila have already agreed. But there's a percentage which is undecided. There are those who are not comfortable with Raila, they are not comfortable with Ruto. These are the people who are going to vote for One Kenya Alliance movement. They could be 1 million people, they could be 2 million. If they are going to force a runoff, and President Uhuru Kenyatta is still there, where do you think One Kenya Alliance movement are going to cast their vote? They are going to cast it, in my view, where the president is going to direct them to do. Because with the simple calculations, it's easier for Musalia Mudavadi to become President Uhuru Kenyatta, to become the president of the Republic of Kenya, if Raila Odinga is the president in 2022. Because Raila Odinga and his age might only serve one term. The same to Kalonzo. So they'll figure out and easily decide to throw their weights behind Raila Odinga. Number three, they are saying that they are going to meet on February 18th to consider the recommendations of the technical team. Basically, what's going to happen is that the technical team is going to give them the reports based on facts and figures. And it's going to tell them that for Kalonzo, you are going to be our presidential candidate, for example, or Musalia Mudavadi. Weta, you can't. But how are you going to share the slots? So that's going to be the recommendations of the technical team. That should worry the DP. If this technical team is going to recommend to them that the best person, because normally there's a way system normally penetrates this technical team. If the system wants this to influence the thinking of this team, it means the technical team's recommendations are going to go according to the plans of the state or of the deep state. We'll tell them that if you join Raila, then you are good. If you join Ruto, then maybe you are not good. Those are issues which should actually which should actually worry the DP. And number four, from the happenings, it is clear that the president has actually managed to tame Musalia Mudavadi. Mudavadi was turning out to be rogue. Uhuru Kenyatta has a clear plan on where he wants his succession politics, or the direction he wants his succession politics to take. Musalia Mudavadi became rogue, going north when everybody's being directed to south. Finally, he has been tamed. And lastly, from this meeting, it is also very clear that if William Ruto had plans of dividing One Kenya Alliance movement, which he can do, by the way, then those plans are not going to materialize until February 18th. And what is happening in Parliament as we speak? There's a debate on Political Parties Act or bill. That Political Parties bill is saying that you must submit your coalition agreements. It was reduced from 6 months, 4 months to the elections. When are we going to have the elections? So if this One Kenya Alliance movement are going to drag until February, then let's say they are going to consider the recommendations of the technical team, then they convene another meeting, we will be in March. That means technically there's a clear strategy to lock William Ruto or to block these people from joining William Ruto's camp. I don't know what to think, but I'm seeing smart politics from none other than President Uhuru Kenyatta. Because on the day these guys were making these recommendations, Raila Odinga's train is taking off. He has appointed Deriti Mureithi to head his campaigns. Raila Odinga has also appointed Elizabeth Mayo as the CEO of his campaigns, which means for Raila Odinga, his path to the presidency is already clear. The One Kenya Alliance movement are still dragging. I don't know what to think. Let me hear your thoughts on this. But I think the message which Musalia Mudavadi delivered today is not a good news to the Deputy President, Dr. William Ruto. Maybe, for now, in politics, a lot of things can change within a very short time. Thank you guys, and until next time, this is Limakwe.